The New York Mets are projected for 90.5 wins. That's tied for the highest total in the NL East. They finished 77 and 85 last year. Here's why they're going under again this year. They brought in Starling Marte, Mark Canha, and Eduardo Escobar. All 33 years old, but can still definitely contribute. Especially Marte in that 2 spot. I think that's a great addition. But you can't forget the players they're replacing. They're replacing Javi Baez, Michael Conforto, and even Jonathan Villar was a really good asset for them last year. So on the whole, they maybe got a little better at those 3 positions, maybe. But Villar got a base at a good clip for them. The exact same clip as Francisco Lindor. Yep, Francisco Lindor, probably the most disappointing player in the majors last year. If we get the same Lindor as we got last year, there's no question this bet's going under. The Mets won't even come close to sniffing 90 wins. They need at least 30 bombs from him. They're gonna have to rely on him for power, because this lineup doesn't have much outside of Pete Alonso. Robinson Cano's a big wild card for sure. Last time we saw him, he had a .896 OPS across 49 games. But at 39 years old entering the year, I bet he's going to be a bit underwhelming, and I don't think it's smart to hitch your horse to that wagon. Now the bullpen is championship caliber if Edwin Diaz is at his best, but that's a big if. And DeGrom and Scherzer is a 1-2 punch. That's what wet dreams are made of. In fact, 1 through 5 they are really good, but there are highly publicized health concerns with DeGrom. And Carrasco and Walker haven't been the most available in recent history either. So I put it at pretty much no chance that this is the starting rotation that's going to finish the year. And I wonder how an old school manager like Buck Showalter will handle the guys in the Big Apple. He's a very well-respected manager, but he's only won 90 or more games in 3 out of the 20 seasons he's managed in the majors. One of the biggest surprises I got while researching the Mets this year is that Buck's only 65 years old. The guy looks like he's 80. I may sound like I'm contradicting myself a little bit, bigging up the Mets in certain spots, but essentially what it boils down to is they haven't hit 90 or more wins in 15 straight seasons, and I'm gonna have to see it to believe it. The Philadelphia Phillies, they're projected for 85.5 wins, the 3rd highest total in the NL East. Finished 82 and 80 last year, and even though a lot of guys like the over this year, I'm taking the under. To only finish 82 and 80 last year when they had the NL MVP in Bryce Harper and the 2nd place vote getter in the NL Cy Young and Zach Wheeler is definitely a disappointment. This season they brought in Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber. I think that's 2 phenomenal moves. They both get on base and both hit for power. And I believe Didi Gregorius will be better than last season, although that's not saying much. He barely hit above the Mendoza line. And JT Realmuto, still rightfully revered as one of the best offensive catchers in the game, although his power numbers did go down slightly last year. The thing with the Phillies though, I think when people talk about them, they just assume Bryce Harper is going to have another season with a .615 slugging percentage and .305 ISO. It's not that easy. It's definitely doable for an MVP like Bryce, but you have to allow the possibility he might regress to what he was like the other 2 seasons in Philly, when he had an average below 270. So I'm just saying that could happen. And the pitching is also where the Phillies lose me. We talk about Zach Wheeler getting those Cy Young votes. He's great, but there are a bit of a health concerns entering the season. Not to mention Aaron Nola having a subpar year last year. But I'm not too worried about those 2. It's the guys behind him that are just so pedestrian. Kyle Gibson really outperformed his peripherals last year. Zach Eflin and Ranger Suarez. There's a lot to like about this Phillies team, especially offensively, but the lack of arms down the stretch will hurt them in a tough division. The thing for me is they haven't gone over this total since 2011, and there's almost too much hype around this team like there was last year. I took the under last year, it cashed as well. For me, this is a very, very similar situation to the Mets. A lot of hype around this team in a really big market, but they haven't gone over this number since 2011. The Atlanta Braves are projected for 90.5 wins. That's tied for the highest in the NL East. They finished 88 and 73 last year. Oh, and they won the World Series, and here's why they're going to go over again this year. The fact that Ronald Acuna essentially won't really miss any time with that torn ACL is a huge plus for this bet. He's one of the best bats in the entire league, obviously, and Freddie Freeman is too. They lost him, but they brought in Matt Olson, not a bad replacement at all. I think this team's going to want to show people that as good as Freddie is, he's not the only reason they won the World Series. There's excellent bats up and down this lineup. I mean, Austin Riley was a revelation last year. He's entering this season as pretty much the 4th best 3rd baseman offensively, behind Ramirez and Devers and slightly Machado. Don't sleep on the fact they get Marcell Ozuna back as well. Obviously he has some off the field issues, but in that COVID shortened season he was probably the best bat in the league. And Ozzie Albies, you gotta love him. He's a great 2nd baseman, just entering his prime, had 30 homers last year. He's really got a lot of power in his bat. Hope to see that continue as well. But really what it comes down to is the arms here. The bullpen is phenomenal. They had one of the best closers in the league last year and then went out and added Kenley Jansen. It's gonna be weird and exciting to see him in Atlanta. The rotation is just so young and and exciting and full of pedigree. All 5 starters are capable of a sub-3.5 ERA in my opinion, especially when Mike Soroka gets back. Not to mention Charlie Morton, the veteran of the group, but still a filthy pitcher in his own right. Historically, teams that win the World Series go under their projected totals the next year, but lately the trend has been kind of bucked. 3 of the last 4 champions have gone over. Not including the COVID season, 3 of the last 4 champs have gone over. The Cubs, the Astros, and the Dodgers. And I think the Braves are going to add to that total. Give me the over for the Atlanta Braves this year. The Miami Marlins are projected for 76.5 wins, the second lowest total in the NL East. They only finished 67 and 95 last year, but I believe they're going over this year. Offensively, their lineup does not scare you, but it does have some bright spots. Jazz Chisholm will be as exciting as they come leading off. And if Jesus Sanchez can cut down on the strikeouts, he has all the tools and potential to be a really good player in this league. And I love the addition of Jorge Soler. He lost his way a bit in Kansas City, but he went down to Atlanta. He rediscovered his 2019 form when he hit 48 homers for the Royals, won the World Series MVP, and now he's going to be one of the veterans in that clubhouse in Miami. Around those 3 guys, there's 6 veterans that understand their assignment. Get on base, generate runs, and give their elite starters something to work with. 1 through 5, the Marlins have a tremendous pitching staff, and Jesus Luzardo, if he can continue what he's doing in spring training and bring it into the regular season and finally unlock his potential, that will go a long way for the Marlins to hit this over. The Miami Marlins are going to be frisky this year. Don Mattingly's a hell of a coach, and I have so much faith in this rotation and bullpen. I like the over for Miami. I'm not saying playoffs, but I think they can surprise some people this year. The Washington Nationals are projected for 71.5 wins. They finished 65 and 97 last year, and they're going to go under again this year. We're not going to spend too much time on it. There's really not too much to say about the Nats entering this year. It's going to be a long season for them. I think the only time they're really going to be in the national media is going to be based around Juan Soto's contract situation. Between opening day last year and this year, they've lost Trey Turner and Max Scherzer. Not ideal. Not to mention Kyle Schwarber and the veteran leadership of Ryan Zimmerman. So let's focus on what they do have, which isn't much. The 1 through 4 in their lineup is decent. Although at 42, Nelson Cruz could slow down at any time. He hasn't slowed down yet, but he's getting up there. It's such a shame because Juan Soto is one of, if not the best hitters in baseball. He got on base pretty much half of his at-bats last year. He's just so easy to pitch around in this lineup. His ability is just neutralized in a tragic way. And the rotation, I can't believe it. It's possibly the worst in the league. It's just abysmal. Patrick Corbin as your opening day starter a few years ago wouldn't be terrible, but he's been crap lately, and the rest of the guys behind him suck. I don't see this team exceeding 70 wins at all.